Absolutely. I'm going to put us also on my phone so I can make sure I'm answering questions. So I am
Who said
here.
they had pecan coffee? I want some of that. Sorry.
That's okay. I'm gonna make sure I'm keeping on questions because we have the amazing, as it was put to us yesterday, after we did a Skywalker evolutionary session, the astrological ninja seamstress, stitching together orbs with the story of your life. That was the review of Connie Joe yesterday after a session. I told her I was going to say she should just get full on ready to be blushing. Um, uh,
Yeah.
so we are here with said astrological ninja seamstress, and we're going to talk about um, this Virgo full moon. We're going to talk about the aspects. We're going to talk about the deeper meanings, not the archetypes, stereotypes that we see about Virgo, but what that means for us internally. We're going to let Connie Joe do her thing and talk about Virgo moon in her advanced astrology experience. And maybe touch on just a tiny bit progressed Virgo moon, because I know some of you have that right now. And it's a question that always gets asked whenever we do these full moon things. How does this affect me if it's a progressed moon? And then we're going to go over each of the houses. At the very end, I'm just going to go over some of the full moon rituals that would be good, especially for this moon. And you can ask, instead of doing a question section at the end, we're going to spend more of the time really breaking down what this looks like. And of course, an hour after this full moon hits direct, we have Saturn going into Pisces. So there's a whole bunch going on with this moon. So we're going to talk about the aspects, the deeper meanings of Virgo moon, how that might play out in your life, or how you can recognize it in your life. And then we're going to talk about the houses that this may hit and what that may mean for you. And then talk about the ritualistic, more metaphysical parts of the full moon. And feel free to ask questions, because either I'll be yammering away and Connie Joe can answer. We both have our phones ready with you guys on it too, so that we can answer easily. And when Connie Joe is taking us all to church with the amazing way that she explains everything, I can answer questions as well. Hello, Juan and Dolly and Renata. Corey, what's up? I am not setting the place on fire today. I promise everyone. No fire alarms. Hi, Monique and Dora. And of course, I see Samantha and April and Lana. My friend Lana of Lana's Enchanted Sky. If you see her, take the second to go click on her and follow her. She does, an incredible medium, but also she does the most accurate mundane predictions I've ever seen somebody do. She's just on point all the time. And she's my go-to medium, but she's also just a lovely human that has now become a friend. So please go follow her. She's amazing. And hi, Maricela and Alexandra, Anil and Jisa. Wow. Melissa is here. Anya is here. Adva is here. Hi, Gibson. We were just talking about your amazing ability to turn a phrase. Just
I
for
know. Incredible.
hi, Stacy. If I missed you, it's because I need glasses. And not because and it's Little John is here as well. Hi, Tanya. Okay, we only have almost 40 people, so I'm sure I missed somebody. Hi, Elizabeth and Valerie and Zach, Stephanie. Wow. Okay, so let's get started. And I think that we have our moderator, Lee, in the house. I'll wait to see. Of course, Lana. It's true. She's amazing, and quick. Lana's quick. It's crazy. Often she answers questions I haven't answered yet with information that almost no one knows. So, but Yeah, if Lee is here, there she is. Okay, great. So Lee's going to take timestamps for us. So we're going to start by talking about the aspects of this moon, and I mean, we have a full moon in Virgo. So we have Virgo moon 16 degrees and Pisces sun 16 degrees. It's really
Mhm.
interesting for the collective chart. Connie, Joe, and I were talking about this because it's in Aries rising,
Yeah,
for the collective. So the collective energy for this is going to be very Pisces and very that Virgo moon is in the sixth house and that Pisces sun in the collective is sitting in the 12th. And Connie Joe, do you want to talk about some of the other aspects before I
I do. I
chat
want
a
to
little?
say, first of all, that if you have a lot of planets or activity in mutable signs, which is Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, and I just had Sagittarius, um, then you're really going to be affected by this full moon. Anything between 16 and 21 degrees is especially something to look for. So this full moon is going to make a to Mars in Gemini. I think that's going to increase the need to take action with this full moon, to actually do something with that. Also, Mars will be making a wide square as well. Well, it's not too wide to Neptune, also in Pisces. All kinds of energy going on. Um, and sometimes with Neptune involved, it can put a fogginess on the actions, Mars, that we want to take, what we want to do, how we want to forge forward. And it gives like a little bit of fogginess. But Neptune loves to be in Pisces because, Neptune kind of likes that. Excuse me, Pisces likes a little bit of that. They like that dreaminess, that ability to kind of get away. I mean,
Mhm.
who doesn't love a Pisces? They're just able to play escapist in their own skin. I wish I could do that. I don't, they're able to just take it away. And the difference with Virgo, well, hold on, let me tell the rest of the aspects. We also have Jupiter and Chiron and Venus all making a conjunction,
Which,
which is actually pretty lovely because I think with Chiron sitting in between Jupiter and Venus, there's a healing aspect to this as well. And so if you have planets in Aries too, wow, you should be having some nice luck right now, I would think. Good time for you, I hope, for everybody. I mean, we all have Aries somewhere, but um, if you have planets in Aries, then you may be having your Jupiter return. Our client yesterday was about to have her Jupiter return. If you have Jupiter in Aries, that's coming up for you. So Venus and Jupiter together, even though Chiron is involved, it almost like it feels very healing with the middle of those. So then, let us not forget, Uranus is
Uranus.
going to be making a trine um, to the moon and a sextile to the sun. So it's like there's so many factors in this full moon because we're getting that kind of lightning strike idea moment of how to do things with Uranus. And then Mars is saying go, 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 but it's making a square. And we're like, okay, which way to go? So it's kind of confusing, I think, the energy of this.
Well, and may I add too, I want to say two things of comments that I'm seeing a lot. One, so when we're talking about the collective, we're talking about like when we do electional, saying like, oh, this is a great time to like launch a tweet, launch a website, because
Mhm.
there's Virgo rising in Gemini on the MC. It's a great time for a mercurial task, a mercurial goal to land the right way, right? So when we're talking about the collective energy, that collective chart, not everyone else's chart, has Aries rising and that Virgo moon in the sixth house. If you have a different sign in the sixth house, if you are a Taurus rising, if that's like, and we're using Placid, if that's Scorpio, and your moon is in Scorpio, you may not feel this. So don't think because you have your moon in the sixth house, you're going to feel this like crazy. We're talking about the collective energy. And also, I saw somebody say like, oh no, I have this moon, I have that. Okay, so we are looking for things within, I'm going to say, to really feel up the full impact of this. I like to give it about a 4 to 7 degree orb. In technicalities, we would say an 8 degree orb to the moon. But because we have Uranus and Neptune in play here, and those are slower moving planets, those are outer planets, I would keep it to 5 degrees of an orb. So, if you are 22 degrees, probably don't have to worry about it as so much. And if you're like 10 or 11 degrees, you probably don't have to
Yeah, exactly.
worry about it much. And not that you have to worry. Everything happens to spur us. And I want to say, when we look at Mars and Neptune together and Uranus, that I'm going to say, for people who have planets immutable, or just planets that are going to be heavily affected by this full moon, it might bring some frustration, because that Virgo wants to say everything exact. Virgo wants to be a ninja when it speaks. It wants to write. That's why we see Virgos in copywriting and editing. That's your proofreader friend. That's right. So Virgo is going to want to be articulate and communicate in a way that you have no right. So Gemini, Mars, that's for us to advocate, negotiate, litigate for ourselves. And Virgo is going to want to execute that litigation, negotiation, and advocation for themselves without even having their, so perfectly that there couldn't possibly even be a rebuttal to it. But that Neptune and Mars and Uranus is very emotional. That can look like tears. That can look like you not being able to execute that the way that you want, because all of a sudden you have an unexpected emotional, Neptune and Mars is nebulous. So
Yes.
it is the opposite of that when we have Mercury and Mars, right? When we have Mercury and Mars making an aspect, that is the ninja with their words. That's somebody who's going to come in and slice and dice the conversation and be a surgeon in making sure every word is perfectly said and not misunderstood. And when we have Neptune and Mars talking to each other, Connie Joe said it's fog, but when we're talking about a full moon, when things are coming, a full moon energy is busting at the seams. It's so palpable. The ERs fill up. I mean, we all know the stories, right? Full moon, it physically has effects on us
Oh,
as
yeah.
a collective.
And
So
then,
when No, I was just gonna say, so everything that Connie Joe is saying, if we're because you know how I talk about it being, we can't just look at each ingredient, right? So the recipe that is writing is the real desire to come in like a ninja and advocate for yourself in that Virgoing way, and then have it, be frustrating and emotional and come out in a way that you don't plan.
and
So
we should also
writing things down.
mention Saturn in the mix.
Yes.
Saturn is exactly on this moon at 29 degrees 59 minutes. I mean, it is ready to ingress into Pisces as soon as this
Mhm.
moon is over almost. But it's not really involved with the aspects of the full moon. So if Susie doesn't mind, I'm going to save Saturn for another day because it doesn't really interact. But everybody knows it's at that 29th degree. And if you have planets at 29 degrees of Aquarius, 0 degrees of Pisces, of course, that Saturn is going to affect you. But it
Right.
doesn't have that much to do with the full moon.
It's kind of like if you're on the phone trying to have an important conversation and your kids are driving you crazy or the dog is barking, you're going to feel it. It's not really involved in this conversation. It might add to the frustration if you also have
Yeah,
planets at 29 degrees, but it's not this conversation. Also, I
yeah,
want to clarify, I think the first thing we should have done is probably said this moon is happening on March 7th, will
yeah.
be Tuesday. And what time is it happening?
7:40 a.m. Eastern.
Eastern time. So you all know how to
Mhm.
calculate. If you showed up here on time, then you know how to calculate your time zones. But um, so it will be with us most of the day. You will kind of be waking up to this energy for a lot of people, and for our friends on the other side of the pond, as we say, you'll be going to sleep to it. I kind of envy that. I would rather be going to
Right?
sleep. Um, and so it's I saw somebody say I'm going to be in court tomorrow, but it's happening Tuesday. Yeah.
Anne Murphy. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Okay, I love it.
Yes.
So should we go into a little bit more about the sign of Virgo? Because I think
Yeah.
Virgo really gets a bad rap. It's not fair.
Well, do you
And
have any other insights on how you think if people, because if you have one thing now, if you have one thing aspecting the 16 degrees, you're going to have all of those things that we just
yeah,
mentioned besides.
yes.
So do you have any other what that could look like? Like
Well,
what, like in other words, like if we have Neptune and Mars together with this full moon, what that could look like, how it plays out. um would you recommend for people to have that discussion that day, that like if they feel like if I don't say it today, I won't ever. So
no.
like I how would you, okay, so yeah, so how would you treat this if you had a lot of planets around those, either around those degrees, especially immutable?
Well, I do actually, and I can already feel the effects of this full moon for myself. And I think what I've decided to do is wait until it's over to have, like Susie said, that discussion. Um, Wait till it's over. This Virgo full moon, I think, is a good time to contemplate. We need to, because Virgo is the perfectionist, but how we want to use that Virgo energy to organize and balance it with the Pisces energy, by giving ourselves a break. Because Pisces would give
Yeah.
Virgo the break. That's the opposition of those two. It's not just physical health versus mental health or spirituality versus, Virgo is the one that wants to help everybody. I mean, if you're moving, find a
Mhm.
Virgo friend that will help you in a second and organize your kitchen while you're making drinks. I mean, they're the ones that are so willing to help you do everything. But on this particular full moon, just wait, make plans, journal.
That's what I was going to say. So, because of Uranus playing a little part in there, and because Uranus, you
Yeah,
literally have to expect the unexpected, you're not going to, you could sit there and have, okay, when they say this, and I know they're going to say this, then I'm going to say that. And that's all well and good. We've all done that. We've had the conversation before we've had the
yeah,
conversation to make sure we're thinking, we're ready ahead, very mercurial. And then but Uranus and Neptune are just gonna, it's not gonna execute the way that you really want to. It's a great day to journal and to write down, and then I think when we're going to end up uncovering other things as we get
yeah,
into Virgo, about boundaries and other things that are going to come into play. But that's a day that I would not have the argument you'll be dying to.
yeah,
It might be right here. It might be right here and right here. It might be welling up in
exactly.
every possible way. That's the day that you might want to like self-care and like, be Kermit, write yourself a whole angry letter. Sometimes it's good to write
That's
letters that we don't send,
what I
and then we
was
can
going to
edit them
say,
later.
because
Right.
that's actually what I'm thinking about doing, is writing it all down and not sending it. It's
Right. And Virgo is the editor. So like, write it all down, get it out so it's not welling. Because I'm telling you, on a full moon with Uranus and Neptune and Mars involved, to just keep it to yourself.
yeah,
Don't let it get to you. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy, because that's not how you're going to feel. So I'm not saying shove it down, because I'm not a fan of that. If you know, but let it come out on paper. Talk into your phone. Watch a movie that'll make you mad, make you cry, make you feel, do something to give those feelings and that frustration an outlet, but not the conversation.
you know what? Also, this would be, I kid you not, a good to take energy that you don't really know what to do with because of the Mars and Neptune, and organize a closet. Might be a good day just to clean your garage. Do something that's kind of Virgo, and use the energy, but you don't have to use it in that confrontational way. You can still use it.
Yeah. Harvest. If you don't live someplace where you can have a little herb garden or whatever, get to the store the day before, do canning, make rosemary oils, make like anything that's herbology that you can do in your kitchen. Be a kitchen witch that
Yeah.
day. um so I'm sorry, Connie Joe, why don't we go into and Lee, if we could timestamp this. So we want to go into the deeper levels of Virgo and Virgo Pisces, and how you can recognize it in your own life, because maybe you have zero sixth house planets and zero Virgo planets, and you're like, I don't know that I relate. So let's talk about some of the less stereotypical things about Virgo, so that you know how to recognize how to use this energy, regardless of whether you have planets around 16 degrees or not, because this is supposed to be for everyone.
Sure. And it's interesting to have two planets that are ruled by Mercury, but they are very different. As a matter of fact, they square each other. Gemini and Virgo make a square because they do it. So Gemini loves to learn. They're curious. They want to know a little bit about everything. It's like, tell me the facts. Give me the facts. Oh, I want to learn about that. And before you've even finished your sentence, they're already Googling something else. Virgo uses Mercury completely different. Virgo assimilates all of the facts that they get, they organize it, and then they decide how they want to use it. Because believe it or not, Virgo is the sign of discretion. We get creative in Leo. We're very creative, but when we get to Virgo, it's time to be discreet.
Mhm.
It's time to what my used to say was separate the wheat from the chaff, and see what we need to keep. What do we need to keep out of all of our experiences? What has been good for us? What do we need to hold on to? And then perfect that, because Virgo's also the sign of the craftsman. This is think about a carpenter that will turn an ugly piece of wood into the most beautiful treasure box you've ever seen. That is so Virgo, because they've taken all of those ideas and used the very best of it. But what happens is when we get too into the Virgo energy, we are over perfectionist. Oh, is that a word? Perfectionistic? Perfectionistic? I don't
Well, we can be overly, yeah, we can be a perfectionist
Yeah,
to
and
a degree.
when we overdo it, we overdo that wanting or having. With Virgo,
Yeah.
it's not even wanting.
May
They
I?
have to have it right.
Yeah. And I would love to speak to that, because Virgo is um often we relate that with healthcare as well.
Yes.
Nurses, doctors, people who serve hands on. And I don't really love the whole thing of saying that, helping and Pisces healing, because, Virgos, you will find Reiki masters, massage therapists, people, that is all healing arts. It's just physical instead of metaphysical healing, right? So,
Sure.
but, but, they're kind of the sign of do no harm, both because Connie Joe just two things that kind of tie together. That discretion is another word that we would use for that, is ethics. Kind of deciphering and sifting through, whether it serves them or not. What is the right thing to, taking all the information, not just the information that suits them, and making sure that it's not just perfect, but it's like right. It's the right thing to do. It's not just it's the correct thing to do. That discretion is, comes through in a very ethical way. And even though they are the sign of do no harm, they often don't apply that to themselves. They will
Exactly.
exhaust themselves, in trying to deliver that perfect thing.
Yeah, and nobody is more hard on themselves than the Virgo themselves. And you might find their personality to be a little nitpicky sometimes. That's because they want to get it right. And trust me, they're harder on themselves than anybody else. I promise.
And they'll look confident like a Capricorn. And
Hmm.
but it's funny to me, the difference between the mercurial, expressions between Gemini and Virgo is that when Gemini, um, things aren't going right, you'll know. It's a little chaotic. It's a little low-key. It'll be like, what is going on right now? Like, what is happening? How can I help you? Right. So Mercury in will show up as chaos when things are going ass backwards, sideways, out the not going how we plan, because Gemini is also brilliant and wants to execute things a certain way and has a brilliant way to speak. Um,
Hmm.
and so, but when Virgo things go sideways, they look like the duck. I used to say this all the time in my last profession. I used to say this to all my staff and my employees. Listen, if anything goes wrong, and I used to say it to the brides that I would take care of, if anything goes wrong, no one will know but you. Right. So it was such a Virgo thing for me to say with all my Virgo placements and my Virgo rising, like a duck on the water. Outside, they will look like they are gliding just so effortlessly. And underneath the water, it's paddling
Yeah,
furiously.
yeah.
And so I
Because
think
they just
that,
give themselves that break.
right. So when you're seeing a Virgo look like, I'm good, I got this. I got this. I promise you, it's all going to be good. It will be. They won't sleep. They won't, right? But they're chaotic inside and they're beating themselves up.
Hmm.
Um, and so the anxiety is internalized, where the anxiety on a palpable. We all know what's happening. The anxiety
Yeah.
for Virgo is shoved down deep, looking like the Capricornian confidence, but inside it's a it's a there yeah the standards, that those ethics, those standards, that discretion is so pushed inward,
Yeah.
that yeah, you won't see it, but it's happening.
It is. And I think with Virgo, Susie, you can't, it's like they're very day to day getting things done, getting things, but sometimes what happens is they forget the vision. It's like they get so wrapped up in everything they have to do and
The
organize
detail.
and help everybody with, that they forget the Pisces vision. So here's the yin and yang of the signs and how they can work together. And so that full moon exemplifies that, because don't forget, what's the vision behind all of the activity that you're trying to get organized and perfect?
Yeah, and I think that, if you're new here and you haven't heard me say this, and if you're watching all the way, by the way, if you're watching, and this is your first time, welcome. This is a very nice community.
Yes, it is.
So if you jump in a chat, it's very welcoming. and we allow all the shenanigans are the fun kind. We don't allow any unsafe shenanigans in our chat. But I always say the inner peace to be achieved for Virgo is the pursuit of that mastery for themselves, of how they balance
Mm.
work life balance, detail balance, learning when to say, is
No.
it good enough? And so and not, it's, they're never, you as a Virgo, and I want all of my Virgo, my sixth house placements to hear this. The inner peace will never be achieved by the pursuit of perfection, because we're also mercurial ruled, right? So what does Mercury do? It adapts, it changes. Um, Information is coming in uh little quicker today. So that idea that you're going to get something perfect and then it's going to change, there's never going to be inner peace in the pursuit of perfection. It's the pursuit of knowing that you did your best and that's going to be good enough, and that you can't compare it to what somebody else might do later on or with different information. And you have to look at what point is it worth exhausting and draining myself.
Yeah, exactly.
If the, yeah, if the only reward is quelling your own anxiety about your service for love, inner work to do, then you have to. That's not a selfish thing to say. There is that is a love language for Virgo, is service, and
Yeah.
so we have to look. And that just sounds so great, right? That just sounds like what a great love language, to serve others. What are we here to do for? But then to help our brothers and sisters and our fellow man, and yes, absolutely. But to the point where it's to your detriment. If Virgo
Yeah.
is the epitome of do no harm, it has to be applied to yourself as well. And so the inner peace comes from finding that sweet spot, and never the sweet spot of perfection.
And learning to say no, because Virgos want so badly to help everyone. They do. I think learning to say no and giving yourself that internal break sometimes is so important. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think that Virgo feels, it's an earth sign. It feels the depth, it feels the gravity of their decisions. Um,
Mm-hmm.
when Connie Joe and I talked about this, I said, one of the things, and just so you know, if you're on my email list, I know no one wants to be spammed, but I decided last night in my Virgo moment, that I think that I want to do like a fun emailing thing where there's surveys where we can kind of collect data, and maybe even like form groups, and do, because I want to start doing like group work on this channel, because everything has just opened up, and so I can do things uh, that I've been thinking and dreaming of for community for a while. But I'm very interested. So if you start getting emails, I promise they're not advertising, they're not selling anything. I want to do these kind of like fun little quizzes, to see how our planets are expressing themselves. And then maybe break that up into groups, and we can do like little Zoom groups. But you know, Virgo feels the gravity, the earth. They feel the weight of their decisions. When I am often working, I will say this is definitely data that I've collected. When I am working in session, and I, I think Connie Joe and I both have a very large portion of people that are really coming into their gifts and are really having awakenings. And so my thing is, I'm never going to water that down for you. I'm going to tell you how you can harness that, and how one day I'll be watching you on YouTube and asking you a question and booking a session with you, because we're supposed to all, lift each other up. But the one common thread I will always say with Virgos that have metaphysical gifts, that don't have channels, that don't have platforms, that aren't in practice, is the same thing. What if I give somebody the wrong advice? What if I advise somebody wrong? What if I read a card wrong? What if I tell somebody, oh, this might happen? Or what if I tell somebody it's not going to happen, and then it does happen, and then it's all my fault? The gravity of the weight of their decisions, their impact on others, they feel so deeply that it will keep them and manifest like fear and keep them from things they would be brilliant at. And they probably studied harder than most people that just hang a shingle and set up shop, right? Fearlessly. And Virgo is just so understanding of that discretion, of that ethical inner struggle, of the perfectionism is, if what if I get it wrong, I am harming others. Virgo is do no harm. And so I am constantly, and I think there's one of you that we just had a session that I'm like, I can't wait to watch your channel. And I hope that this Saturn in Pisces, because they had a ton of Virgo energy, I hope when it comes by, it gives you that chance to lighten up and not be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
So you realize that, like, probably what you know is more than a lot of people know, but it doesn't matter. Here's the thing: if you build it, they will come, Virgo. For all of you holding back, whatever the project is, whatever the platform is, whatever the change in your life, you feel so responsible for others. I know Virgo is an earth sign, but I see them like an octopus sometimes. Like they've got 8 things going at once, and they are literally holding people up and think, but if I stop doing this for them, they're going to fall. It's that overcorrection of I have to be perfect. It's that overcorrection of I have to help everyone. And then they exhaust themselves, and they can often feel resentful because then people aren't showing up for them the way they show up. It's almost impossible to find somebody
Uh-huh.
that is going to show up for Virgo the way Virgo will, like, not even think twice and show up for them.
Yeah.
And I think that they're not looking for the accolades. They just want to know they didn't screw it up. It's not like Leo, where they have to, like, Leo has to be seen because they weren't seen as a child. Virgo has to be service for love because they didn't feel good enough on their worst day, without being of service. Often, there was some
Let's
way
talk
that,
about that, Susie. The
yeah,
order, how that works.
yeah,
Because
please do.
because with Leo coming before Virgo, of course, or fifth house, the houses and signs are different, but fifth house before the sixth house, that's our creativity. Leos are so creative. And let's put this in progressed moon scenario. I think you'll get it like that. So when
Timestamp.
we have huh?
I was telling Lee timestamp. I told her I would just go timestamp.
When we have our progressed moon in Leo, it's kind of a time to show off a little bit, have fun, use that creativity. It can be a little dramatic. You may be noticed a little more. Your hair, you're going to have that Leo mane for that 2.5 years. But what happens is when that progressed sun moves into Virgo, you take everything that you learned in that Leo progressed moon and you start to sort through it. Do I really want to stay this way? Do I want to keep this? That's where that discretion comes in. And it's the same way in the zodiac. You take what you do in the fifth house, and when it goes to the sixth house, that's where we perfect it. That's where we
Mhm.
use that discretion to see what do we need to keep or what do we throw away. Because when we go into the seventh house, we're taking partners with us. We're involving other people. So we want to get it right. Isn't that so Virgo? But the Virgo progressed moon is so different because it really is a time of contemplation about what we want to take with us. It's using that discretion over and over again. And I really think, Susie, that's what this full moon is all about. What do we want to bring with us What do we need to keep? And it's like separating the wheat from the chaff. What are we keeping? What are we going to throw
Mhm.
away with, or decide is not serving us anymore on this full moon?
Right.
I think that's a big part of what this full moon is just
Yeah, and
a decision.
I absolutely agree. And I think that, like, when I'm talking about that octopus, you know, 8 things in the air that you feel so deeply responsible for, and it would somebody would be like, "I'll be fine. Don't worry about me." Yeah, but you can't tell that to the Virgo that loves you. They're worrying.
Yeah.
And so I think that this moon also asks us to truly deep, if we're going to go real deep, which I kind of feel like that's what you're all here for. Um, how do we feel less than when we cannot produce that help, when we cannot produce that perfect execution? How do we feel less than when we feel like we will not be able to put ourselves out there and say, I'm good at this? How do we feel less than? Where inside of us how do we have to go back to inner child and say, you're good enough when you spill all the milk, break the bowl, and then cry? You're good enough on your worst day. What part of us has to go back and sit with that inner child and say, you're when you're the worst, you're still the best, right? What part of us is also asking us to look in our life where we are quietly suffering
Mm.
because we feel the need to be responsible for things that we probably can let go,
Mm-hmm.
and that it would be helpful to the other people if we didn't do their work for them. Virgo constantly does everybody else's emotional labor for them. We think of it as also just like very mercurial and service, but they are often doing other people's emotional, growth labor, evolutionary labor, all of that for the other person. And where can you let go of that? Where are you quietly suffering because you feel like that is just the role that you got handed, and all these other people will suffer unless you are suffering? Where are you trading out your suffering? Um, and Pisces can speak to suffering too. So this full moon, um, Pisces also wants to heal the world. So that it's a very impactful look where you're quietly suffering. Because I always say, like, Virgo is the sign of Mr. Miyagi. And if you've ever seen The Karate Kid, and if you haven't, oh my God, go watch it. What are you doing with your life? But he says to Danielson at one point, if you walk on the one side of the road, you're okay, right? Because you know what you know. And if you walk on the other side of the road, you're also okay. You acknowledge what you don't know. But if you walk in the middle, you get squished like a grape. And that is kind of Virgo's inner anxiety and monologue all the time. So where can you
Yeah.
let that go? Where can you let that go? And where are you quietly suffering because you feel it's the role, and because you will feel less than if you stop? You will feel less lovable if you stop.
This might be a good time to look at the houses, Susie, and see,
I
pinpoint
agree.
where it might be. Shall we start with Aries?
We shall. We
Yeah, the
shall.
first
So
house.
we're doing Lee. Do I still have you here? I'm checking.
Hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna write down timestamps. Okay, so well, there's a little stall, so I'm gonna write down the timestamps so we don't lose them. So let's look at the first. Is there anything else you wanted to say about that progressed Virgo moon for anyone going in?
I just
Any
think
tips or
that the progressed Virgo moon, it prepares us to go into the Libra progressed moon, which involves other people. Also, when you get into the Libra progressed moon, everything that you organized and you decided you wanted to keep, then you get to dress it up because Libras, we talked about that, is ruled by Venus. So the moons, the progressed moons, the signs, the houses, they all work in tandem together, and everybody has that part to play. I just think when you have too much Virgo energy, you can just be so hard on yourself. And I couldn't agree with Susie more. That's where you have to give yourself a break and let go.
Right. Because a lot of signs will let you know if they're suffering, but Virgo almost thinks it's
Uh-uh.
part of the service.
Yeah.
So where are you quietly suffering, and where are you letting it go in your head? Where are you letting the one thing we were going to talk about, but we didn't because we could just sit here and wax philosophical on all the ways that Virgo can express itself. But the polarities between Pisces, we touched on it a little bit, but I always feel like our sister sign, like whatever challenges us the most about a placement in our chart, we can look to the opposite sign, right? The sister sign, in this case, it's Pisces, and see how is that one like a nodes would be. The south node is what we've already done, and that's where our comfort zone, our Achilles heel. That's the no fly zone for like birthdays on our south node for relationships, right? Where is it bringing us backwards? So when we look at the opposite, the polarity of that Virgo energy, how is Pisces maybe going like, you're crazy, you should not have a platform, you don't know enough?
Yeah.
That thing that's in our heads, that conversation we have with ourselves, which is the opposite of gassing us up. It is the thing that almost enables the Virgo doubt, is the Pisces thinking that, like, we're just a small little tiny thing on this large, huge micro, multi-universe, and we're just this little tiny thing. There's other people that will be good enough to listen to. Like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
So like, and Virgo also at its best can be like, just dream it, let's be cotton candy in the sky, right? But we want to look at, when we're looking at healing, we're looking at full moon, we're looking at closures, we're looking at what we're supposed to leave behind and endings. So let's put an ending to uh, that voice in our head that enables the most anxiety ridden part of our not good enough, because we say perfectionism, but the other side of that is not feeling ever good enough.
Yeah. And you can use that same theory in I'll answer your question about how to find where this moon will be in your chart in just a sec. But you can also use that same theory for planets that you have in retrograde that you were born with. Like I have Venus in retrograde um, in the sign of Aquarius. So what's good is to look at Leo. How would Leo handle it? You look opposite sign to see how that sign would react. There all of these oppositions with the signs are there for a reason. So it's always good when you have a retrograde to do that as well. And we'll get into retrogrades one day. Maybe Susie and I'll do some stuff on retrograde planets in the natal chart. It's very interesting. And I know some of the
And
people
guys,
I've talked to have them.
yeah, and what I said to there was a lovely, lovely soul that I had a session with that had Mercury in retrograde and felt like maybe I won't say things the right way. So Mercury in retrograde, doesn't matter what sign it is, and Virgo placements together, always worried about saying the wrong thing. And I just want to say that I think that Miley Cyrus just broke every record for Spotify and everything else with that song Flowers. She's got Mercury in retrograde.
Yeah.
Don't ever let it hold you back. I think that girl's communicating just fine. Now, when you see her in an interview, she's either deep or she's silly. Like, she's not always gonna, sometimes she's a little chaotic when but you're going to express it, especially in your craft. So if you know what your craft is, if you know what your calling is, just trust, because you cannot look at Mercury retrograde and say, I'm not somebody who's supposed to have a platform and communicate to others,
Oh,
because I'm that.
absolutely. People that have
Not. There are tons.
retrograde natally or sometimes are
Yeah,
genius. I mean,
absolutely.
I look at that as a sign of being able to think out of the box. I mean, no worries. And shoot, Susie, we can't get into all this because I'll be all day just talking about the.
I know. So let us know what you want us to. So like, because this is what happens. And so I'm so excited I get to say this. We have Skywalker Evolutionary. Some of you in the chat have experienced that. There is there is a fantastic dichotomy, not just between Connie Joe and I, which we're grateful that when you guys tell us you love us together, but our guides, Kiki, just as fluently as we do in the 3D. And wow. The messages, it's like she'll meditate before, and then like we're just saying, but I'm saying I'm not sure what that means, or she said something yesterday that prompted such a deep, huge thing for somebody, and we got to do this incredible energy work. But you have all four clairs like at their strongest between the two of us. And a little bit of the fifth one. And you have all of Connie Joe's incredible advanced astrology, as she was called yesterday, that astrological ninja seamstress, stitching orbs into the story. I mean, just amazing. That is what it's like. And then we have metaphysical practices, Reiki. It's all in a trauma set. Like, so if you haven't, just check it out. I'm trying to get reviews up, but we also, just in a community sense, because not everybody can get a reading, right? So in a community sense, what do you guys want to see? Please let me know, and like, ask for as much Connie Joe as you like, and then maybe I will be hopping on her channel soon, because we're all encouraging her to have her own channel, because she's brilliant, as we have evidence here today. So I don't want to talk too much about that, but like, I'm just excited because every time we have a session, both of us end up with just almost speechless at the end of what is possible when we're merging all of the energies together.
Yeah. Okay, you ready?
All right. That being said, let's go into the houses. Lee's probably wrote the timestamp down 4 times.
No, sorry. Okay, so
that's 52 minutes. Okay, go ahead.
This is how you can find where this is happening. So we're going to go by our rising sign. So if your rising sign is in Aries, look at 16 degrees. It's either going to put the full moon in your 12th, 6th house axis or your first 7th house axis. So I want to make it as possible for you, but find that 16-degree mark. So let's just start with the first house. And if you're,
and I'm so sorry. I just wanted, because they said I would give this as an example. I'm a Virgo rising.
Yeah.
But I'm a late Virgo rising. That 16 degrees is still in my 12th house. So you just want to see if Connie Joe's saying you're an Aries rising, this is going to be in your 6th house. If your Virgo energy is in the 5th house, because your Virgo cusp on your 6th house starts at 20 degrees, it's happening in your 5th. So just do that math for yourself. Know where your rising degree is. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So let's say you're Aries rising and this is happening in your 1st house. Oh, excuse me. And this is happening in your 12th and 6th house. So Pisces being in the 12th, Virgo being in the 6th. This is everything we've been talking about if you're Aries rising, to the T, because you've already got Virgo native in the 6th and Pisces native in the 12th. So it's all about you using that discretion. What do you want to keep? What do you want to have? What is worthy of you to spend that time on, and use that discretion on? What do you want to do with yourself spiritually? Use that Pisces axis to be able, here's one for you if you've got this, in the 6th and the 12th, dream. Spend a little bit of time daydreaming, because this is what Virgo's doing. I know, because I have enough Virgo energy in my chart, but instead of daydreaming, you start thinking, wow, that piece of furniture would look better over there. closet needs to be organized, you know, to daydream. You know what I'm saying? Okay. You ready to move along, Susie? Or you want to add to?
That's going to be really challenging. That's me. It's happening my 12th, 6th house access.
Yeah.
But the opposite. And so, yeah, that's going to be hard for me to do, dream. But I'm going to try because I listen to Connie Joe, and Connie Joe we trust.
Yes. I mean, use the time to dream big because Virgos tend to be very practical. They are. They're an earth sign. They're practical. They take it all into a physical level. Okay. So, well, I could do this and that. Practically, I could. Instead, what could I, if I dream really big, what would I do? What if I could not only have my own YouTube channel, but, be on TV and teach astrology to millions? You know what? I'm exaggerating, but that's what I'm saying. Think big. Pisces isn't afraid to dream big. They're ruled by Neptune. It's nebulous and the water goes on forever.
And Virgo will take the action that Pisces might hesitate to, because they're better at the dreaming than doing sometimes. So harness that Virgo energy.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so if you have Taurus rising, this is going to happen in your 7th and 1st, right, Susie? Hold on. Taurus, blah, 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 blah. Okay. That means Virgo there. Nope. Reverse it.
Okay.
Reverse. Sorry. Sometimes I have to have a visual. Okay, so this is going to put this in the 5th and the 11th, meaning Pisces will be the sun will be in Pisces in the 11th, and the moon will be in the 5th house. Okay, when you got Virgo 5th house and this is happening there, it's all about that creativity that you can bring in. And I want to say this, with the 5th house and that full moon happening there, just take some time out if you have kids and do something with your kids. If you don't have kids, do something with somebody else's kids. Be a kid for a day. Be a kid
Just
for
that
a day.
house in Disney World. Go, be silly, play a game on your
Yes.
This is a non-astrological life hack. Sega has a thing where all the old games are just plugged in, and it's the old console, and it's not that expensive. And sometimes when I need to completely get away from everything in my head, I play Sonic the Hedgehog, or I play the old Aladdin game, or I just play, and it takes me also, it's almost like an inner child moment at the same time.
Yeah.
If they could just get Atari with a joystick, I'd be thrilled. I would be playing Pitfall all effing day. Okay. I just want to say that, if you don't have kids, do something that's
childlike,
and irresponsible.
Or do inner child work. Talk to your inner child. Do some releasing around your inner child and anything that's holding you back from being that creative, beautiful, amazing person that you can be. I just think really that 5th house speaks to me so much about, let it all go for you. God, that's hard for
Yeah.
And it may not be easy, but let it. Okay, if you can't do it for a day, let it go for an hour. Just for an hour.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. And I mean, compromise where you have to so that you create balance. My kids will tell you, we often pick out a movie to watch, all of us, and I will obviously make snacks if you've been watching, or we have something fun to eat, or, but I have my computer in front of me often. So it's a way that I feel like the work that I can do, that I don't have to like have all my attention, because a lot of times, Virgo energy can kind of do some stuff in their sleep, as we say. But but don't do it while you're also thinking of a million other things. Have
Yeah.
that little getaway time. Do the escapism while you're working if need be. Baby steps. Baby steps, as Bill
Exactly.
Murray says.
And it could be the time to brainstorm, but I think not on this Virgo full moon, because with that Neptune energy and the Mars energy, wait another day. Wait till a couple days after the full moon and then do your serious brainstorming. But do something mindless. Just do something for fun. And I think Virgos have a hard time having fun sometimes. But so, okay, if you have Gemini rising and this is in your fourth house, sorry, y'all. Pay attention to your family. You know what? I just thought, if you're not in touch with your parents and you don't contact them often, give them a call. Use that Virgo energy to catch up with a family member, to do something around the house. It's not the day to put the house on the market or real estate if you're trying to sell your house. And give yourself a break that day. Don't even continue to get it all ready to go on the market. But give yourself a break and do something around your home or around your family that makes you feel good. That's not just purely that Virgo organizational, getting everything right, making it perfect. Just do it to make yourself feel happy. And I really would, that just came to me. I would really, really suggest calling a family member that you haven't been in touch with, just to
As
say
long as
hi.
it's not toxic or harmful.
That's what I was
Yeah,
going to
if
say.
it's just gotten to it, because Virgo can get so busy. I'm guilty all the time where I feel like I sometimes lose contact with people as much as I would like to, because I think I don't have an hour to spend with them. So I don't
Yeah,
call at all, because I don't want to be like, hi, I love you, bye.
I
And
know.
so I feel, especially after I haven't spoken to them to a while. So like, if it's somebody that you just haven't, so make the time. We're not suggesting that you would break anything that's keeping you safe. You should do to continue to keep yourself safe.
Yeah, it's not
Somebody
the
was
time to
asking,
have that conversation. It's the time just to say,
right?
hey, I was just thinking about you. Just wanted to call and say, I love you. Or I was just thinking about you. Maybe we should get together for lunch or something. Just keep it light.
And that's the thing, is don't put that weight on yourself. Just be advocate for yourself. Use that Mars and say, I got 10 minutes. Do you have 10 minutes? Because I'd love to catch up for as much as 10 minutes could give us, because I'd rather have 10 minutes with you than put this conversation off again.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're going to go through every rising sign. I see some people go, oh, can you talk about Scorpio? We're going to go through all of the rising signs. So we're going to go through one by one, starting with Aries.
So if you have Cancer rising, this is going to be happening in your third house. And the third house likes Mercury energy. It really does. But instead of getting all over in your social media and putting all those thoughts down, just leave it alone for the day. Just get with you. Communicate with yourself. That is going to be such a big deal for that third house, to have that conversation with you instead of everybody else, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing as maybe not thinking of all the marketing ideas that you need to do, or simply, if you have brothers and sisters, spending the day with a brother or sister, or giving them a call. Call up your cousins, have a little get together or something. Nothing. I think everything should be light on this day, because the energy is going to be heavy enough, and you're going to have plenty of time to go full speed Virgo. I just wouldn't do it on this day. So,
Yeah, and I would like to, I wanted to add to on that, if we're letting things go, right? If you're Gemini rising and that's happening in your fourth house, look what cycles, especially through the maternal line, look at what cycles you don't have to take with you into parenting yourself, that inner monologue that we got taught when we were young. Look at where you can thank the generations before for the things that you're so grateful to have as tradition, as all of that in that fourth 10th house access. Um and and like the Marie Kwan, is that her name, Marie Kondo? Thank what has served you and let go what you don't need anymore,
mhm.
as far as generational cycles. And in that third house, um if you're a Cancer rising, go find like the little stream, the little, I don't care if it's a pond, I don't care if it's a water fountain in your local mall, but local, not far from your house. Go find some water and just like breathe, um and do that to kind of replenish. If you're a water sign and it's in that third house, there's probably like little quiet places around. Find a water feature, whether that's a pond or a fountain or what have you, and literally get a good snack, and just breathe and take in that water energy and let it replenish you, because Cancers, you are all givers. Like Virgo, you guys have that in common.
Absolutely. And also with that third house, it's not the time to think about how you're going to further your education or what all you could be learning about today. You know, that third house propensity to want to just Google and learn everything. Like I said, just give yourself a break. Go,
Mhm.
or think about philosophical things, the ninth house things. Um, like, wow, it would be so cool to learn numerology, but look up something for fun, not because it's something you feel like you have to do it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Excuse me. I'm getting over a cold. I'm sorry. Okay, so if we have Leo rising, second house. Whoo. I think more than anything with this is, the second house is all about our talents and it is all about our resources, but it's also about our self esteem. Um,
Or
really
self-value.
give yourself a break on this day. Just give yourself a break. The second house is also about food. Um, Instead of making a big dinner, order Uber Eats, you know, or have that partner of yours make something good for you. But I think honor that Virgo in the second house, not by thinking about your resources or what you need to do to make more or how you need to use your talents, but honor it by thinking, you know what, I'm going to be good to myself because I deserve it. Boy, isn't that hard? Do we really think we deserve it? Well, most of us don't, if we're honest with ourselves, but we do. It's time to give ourselves a break that day. And especially if it's in that second house where it's,
Yeah,
go ahead, Susie. Ugh.
that's okay. I was just gonna say, when it's in that second house, the self-value, again, I want to look at, like, don't look at yourself. You want to see in your life where you feel you are less valued if you are not of service, because that's really an inner thing. It's not often that other people find us less valuable. It's that we feel that we will be less lovable if we are not of service. So the second house is really kind of, I feel like that's, our Leo risings who really being seen and being acknowledged is so important. A little piece of missing childhood. So when this full moon is showing up in the second house, I feel like for Leo moons, this is really Leo risings. This is really a big opportunity to also let go of anyone. Take the time to look at, not that day, but take the time to look at who wouldn't love me if I wasn't of service?
Hell yeah.
Who would, who makes me feel less valued when I'm not constantly doing something for them? Who wouldn't call me unless they needed something? Who wouldn't, right? And so look at that, because that eighth house, right, is where we're drained of resources.
Yeah.
And so that second house, eighth house access for this moon, especially for those gorgeous Leo risings who were just missing that acknowledgement as a child, whether it was a small way or a big way, not feeling seen. And so then exchanging that service instead, just to get that constant acknowledgement. Uh, and see who is possibly see what happens when you do nothing, and who's still checking in on you, who contributes to your self-value and who depletes it, who drains
Mm,
your own resources.
yeah. I agree. 100%. Now, if you're Virgo rising, wow. This is a lot about how you see yourself physically. It's not the day to start the diet, whether you want to gain weight or lose weight, or to think about it's really when why don't you think about what you like about yourself when you look in the mirror? So the second house is a different kind of self-esteem and self-worth, I think, than the first house, because it really is that ascendant really is about our physical body, how we come into the world as a physical human being. I think it's a good day just to pamper yourself and take good care of yourself and appreciate your body and who you really are inside and out on that day. Um, Virgos will pick apart their personality and what they like or what they don't like about themselves. And don't do that this day. You know what? As a matter of fact, write down everything you like about yourself. And if you can't think of anything right away, make it up. It's like, or like the simple things. I like the way I cook breakfast in the morning, or, just for an example, I love the way my plant back there looks. I take good care of my plants. That's something nice about yourself. But just honor yourself that day if you're a Virgo rising by being kind to you. I think is the best way to handle that one. And dream about maybe the hairstyle you want to have or changes you would like to make. That's that Pisces side of it. But at the same time, honor who you are and like yourself. Pamper yourself some on this full moon day. Okay. There she is.
Sorry, I had to plug in my. Yeah, I agree with everything. I could hear everything you were saying. So I feel like yes, and also um the inner critic about our bodies.
Mhm.
This is a day to worship at the altar of the patron saint of Lizzo, who sits there and eats breakfast with no makeup on and walks around in our underwear. I said that to somebody once. That's one of my favorite things about TikTok is the positivity, and the girls will be like, this is my cellulite, these are my stretch marks, and I am gorgeous. That soundbite of like, on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think you look like? I'm a 10. Yeah, but 10 is perfect. Yeah, I know, I'm a 10. And it's always those videos are always by people who maybe social media or advertising or movies would not have us looking at as a 10, or would not try to get us to believe. Look at where you can give some love to the thing that you've hated about your. I have a bump in my nose. No one notices it but me. And I finally let it go about a year ago. Now it holds my glasses up. It's so tiny, but it has always bothered me. My crooked teeth on the bottom. I'm a Virgo rising. So at some point I had to let that go if I was going to do all this. Like the thing that makes you cringe about yourself, literally learn to love it. Go to bed that night and tell, like, I'm so grateful that I have this kind of character on my
Yeah.
face. I'm so grateful that I look exactly like me. Um, and really, truly love it.
Yeah.
Like it'll be hard, but start the process. Do a 30-day challenge to tell that part of that feature on yourself that you love it.
Yes. I agree. All right. Libra rising. This is happening in your 12th house. Wow. Having Virgo in the 12th house. Ooh. Um, I know, Suze, I know. Because it's almost like you would try to take those spiritual things and give them names. That's what I keep thinking, and give it labels. We're going to organize our spiritual life by doing this. And maybe on this day, just say a little prayer for you. Just
Say a little prayer for you.
get meditate. That's what just came to me. Actually, try to meditate just for 2 minutes, not all day long, but try to get into a spiritual place without organizing it, or without thinking, well, I need to get this here and this here and this here and this here, or what tarot card it belongs to. It's just be, just be, just be. Let those messages come. Man, it's hard when you've got Virgo in the 12th. I would think. I don't, but I would think it would be. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I have Virgo, so I have a switched chart because I'm so late. I'm kind of like a Libra rising. I'm so late degrees Virgo. So a lot of things when we're talking about transits tend to fall as if I was a Libra rising, even though I'm not. As my long face will tell you, I am a Virgo rising. There's Mercury all over my face. But yeah, and I have my South Node also. So I have my nodal axis switched. So my Pisces in the 6th house, and so yeah, it's that how for me, I know having Virgo in the 12th house makes me want to be really, really ethical about how I incorporate any kind of like metaphysical healing space. Um, and so gratitude, I would say gratitude as somebody who actually has this. I think everything Connie Joe said is right, but when you're doing that meditation, instead of being like, please universe, spirits, and guides, let me give all the right messages to everyone, which is what I say before I go live and before every session ever. Let me get the right messages, even though I know I'm just a vessel, but I feel the weight, right? But what if we just meditated, 12th house Virgos, on the full moon and said, I'm I'm so grateful for the gifts, but I'm also grateful that I get to do this, or I'm grateful for me. What if you were actually grateful for yourself? What if you were just grateful for every little thing about you? And again, just gave it some love. Meditate and don't ask to be better.
Yeah, that's really good. I love that. All right. Hey, you Scorpio risings in the 11th house. Um, Not the time to think about organizing the rally that you want to have, for the Humane Society or the political rally that's coming up, or all of those things in the 11th house that we do, or even the high school reunion that you're probably the one that's going to plan everything. Not the day for that. Might be the day just to call a friend and say, hey, let's go have a drink. Or if you don't, let's go have some coffee. Or, just chit chat with a friend and be grateful for the friends in your life. And you can talk about the rallies another day, but kind of let all of that go for that day, organizing everything around you and just enjoy it. And since it's the 11th house, enjoy it with a friend. Take that extra 10 minutes. And if you don't have friends living close by, Zoom and get your shots of tequila ready and just have a day of friendship with someone and enjoy it that way. I think that's what I would do if that's where my Virgo was.
Yeah, I think the 11th house too, like Scorpio rising, and I say this all the time, it, as in general, loves humanity, is probably an advocate for humanity. I don't know a lot of Scorpio risings that aren't like, kind of low key big old humanitarians and care about the collective on a large. Now, individually, they are sus as fuck about every single person in their lives. But but this is where it's your time to shine, Scorpio risings. Um, uh, where can you be a little philanthropic too? If you don't feel like you're in a place where you want to like be vulnerable around friends, or you just want to have like surface conversation with friends, but you feel the need to do something a little deeper, where can you be philanthropic? Even if it's not in a large crowd, where can you be philanthropic online? The 11th house, technology, the internet. Um, where can you be philanthropic and feel like you might not be able to change the people in your immediate circle, but you might be able to make a tiny little change for a vulnerable demographic.
Yeah,
Um, Scorpio doesn't love being overly vulnerable, but they understand vulnerability and they honor it in other people. And I feel like
yeah.
that gets misunderstood about Scorpio. Yeah.
And the 11th house is also our house of hopes, dreams, aspirations, and our goals in life. But I don't think this is to focus on that so much. But you know what? Be thankful for the goals that you've already reached. And it's okay to dream and dream big, but don't get into the goal aspect of this is the goal I'm setting, and damn it, I'm going to reach it by the next full moon. No. Give yourself a break with that and just think about the goals that you've already reached. I just think this is such a full moon to be kind to ourselves. And because Virgo's so often not, and let go so much of that perfection that we think we have to have, and just let it ride maybe a little bit. All right, Sag rising. This would be in your 10th house, our most public house. Do we want to be public on this day? Nah, probably not. Nor do we want to organize the work Christmas party for next year, or be thinking about what we want to do in this world. Maybe a little dream big, but it's okay to have those dreams. But maybe this is a day to publicly just be grateful for everybody around you. Just let go a little bit of having to be perfect. Maybe do a video without your makeup on. That kind of thing, because the 10th house is our most public house. Don't be afraid to just be who you are. Take off that Virgo perfection and just be you on this day in front of everybody. I mean, this is where I have mine.
Yeah, and the thing is too is
So,
that Virgo doesn't need to be perfection aesthetically. Like they're not trying to be the perfect plastic,
but they would
so
have to have the video edited perfectly.
exactly. So it's being not the imperfect. It's not, again, it's not about trying to be some archetype of like aesthetic beauty as much as it is that you're so concentrated on your flaws, you think everyone else will be, and it's letting
Yeah,
that part go.
good.
And yeah, and so and not caring, because I'm going to give you all a little secret. One of the freedoms, one of the most liberating concepts, not just to hear and not to say, oh, that makes sense, but to start to put into practice, which is the harder part and it takes the longest, is that people are going to talk about you anyway. You could do everything that you could care so much with your Virgo energy, and people are going to say things anyway. And you cannot, that is a them problem. And that is often a reflection of their character. And so letting that go is what I hope for all of the Sag risings, because y'all care so much and you would not be unkind to anyone. And so when somebody is unkind or has something to say, especially if you've got Virgo in that area where you've worked so hard to try to give no one a rebuttal, right? As we talked about before, just learn. Oh gosh, sorry, Sag risings. Just learn that people will say things and that's never about you, and so you can't care. You can't care. Yeah, as all of you have witnessed, people tell me that my hair is bad, or I mean, I get it. I used to get, not here, but I would get it all the time, and it's just, it would, after, it used to bother me, and then it got to the point where I giggle. Get to the giggle. Get to the giggle, Sag risings.
I think that is such a good point. But, letting go of what other people think about you, because that 10th house is so public.
People be
Um,
people. And say that.
letting go of having to be perfect in public or in front of the world. Just be you. Wow, that was good.
Yeah,
I'm
because
listening.
people will say you don't finish sentences, or you take too long to get a message out, or like, come, how many times have you all seen somebody say, can you just get to the point? Listen, this is how the hamster on my wheel in my Gemini brain works. This is part of my imperfection. It comes with all the rest of it. I can't make it perfect. Embrace the philosophy. I'm do really intellectual philosophies. So far, we've had Mr. Miyagi, and now I'm going to give you this one. You're not a jar of Nutella. You cannot please everyone.
Yep. And speaking of philosophy, let's go to Cap Rising, because it's happening in their 9th house of higher learning, philosophy, faith, what we really believe in. Um, the 9th house is so important. If you have Virgo there in this full moon, you may have your aspiration, I can't talk, set so high.
Too much.
You may have your aspirations set so high about your philosophy, what you want to be, who you want to be. Um, give yourself a break, let it go a little bit on this day. Um, I think that verve that the 9th house has for wanting to share what they believe and how they believe with other people. And, a Virgo would do that because they would want you the best for you. Yeah, you should believe this because it's what's best for you. Let it
Not
go.
that Virgos ever give unsolicited advice. Not that Virgo energy would ever give unsolicited advice, because they're
Never.
right. The overinvestment. It's Capricorn, right? The
Yeah.
overinvestment
Yep.
of opinion to save you from yourself so you do all the right things. It's the Virgo Capricorn. Yeah.
Yeah, she's right. I mean, so maybe maybe look into this would be a fun day for Capricorn risings to go out and try an ethnic food that they've never tried before. Like if you never had Vietnamese food, go try it. If you've never had Japanese food, go try it. Check out another culture.
Yeah.
Spread your wings just a little bit. Instead of being focused on what
Yeah.
you believe and what you think this culture is like, or just maybe simply learn a little bit about another country or somewhere that you've never been, or dream about that place that you would love to go.
Or go vicariously. Listen, if you don't want to put things in like, if you have food things, I have friends that I'm like, how could you have never tried this? It's like the best thing ever. And they just have food things. Maybe it's tied to childhood. I don't know. But go, it's Pisces Virgo. Go to the escapism of a film in your house. And I'm gonna tell you, In the Mood for Love, Asian foreign film, just stunning. Like Water for Chocolate, another foreign. You'll live. You'll read the captions. It'll all be okay. I promise. So like, if that is uncomfortable, like sometimes I meet people, they're like, "Oh God, foreign film." It will transport you because it's a change of mindset. We're talking about ninth house. So we're not just talking about the culture. We're talking about opening yourself up to a different philosophy. That's one of the reasons that we love that ninth house access, is because it separates the education from the indoctrination that we get from that third house,
Mhm.
right? So you're going
Mhm.
to just explore. You can sit in the comfort of your own home. If it's too uncomfortable to have people watching you, what do you think of that food? Right. So I agree. Go by all means. Go have a samosa. Yeah, like just go, which are delicious. But go, find a good foreign film. Il Postino. There's a million. But
Mhm.
you can hit me up for suggestions because I love it. But just transport, because the different mindset will help expand Jupiterian ninth house, your perspective on life, which is enriching. That helps you.
Yeah, because Mercury is like the opposite. Okay, on the wheel, like you have Gemini and you have Sagittarius, you have your Jupiter and your Mercury. So that ninth house is all about expansion. Even though that Virgo is ruled by Mercury, you can still expand your horizons a little bit. And I just think it would be fun to do like the movie thing, or watch the foreign film and order foreign food. Just kind of check out a culture that you've never checked out before.
I
You
knew you were
know,
going to do that.
I
Yeah.
bet you did. Okay. Darn it. If you're Aquarius rising, ooh, dun 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 dun. In the eighth house. Okay. This is not the day to figure out how to implement your plan to get out of debt in 3 years, or I wouldn't do my taxes this day either. This is the house of other people's money. It's the house of taxes. It's the house of death. Um, but it's also the house of rebirth. What would you like to resurrect in your life, to bring back to life again? If there was something that you would kind of let die, an idea, or um, something you always wanted to kind of let it go, resurrect it. I don't know where this is coming from because this is not what I planned to say, but resurrect those ideas. It's the house of rebirth. It's like, think about something that, a childhood dream that you would let go of, very Pisces, and resurrect it. Is that eighth house? Well, yeah, because it's the house of life and death. Um, but it's really not the day to focus on those eighth house matters like debt, taxes, and, you know, we're all going to die one day, but that's not the day to think about the day you're going to die. I mean,
Aquarius and Venus, everyone.
right?
I almost went full on snort. Yeah, I mean, we're all definitely going to transcend to a different, right? But like that's
It
not
is
that.
something as Aquarius. It just comes out like that.
So funny.
Okay, but it
Yeah,
is
our Venus
for
is
other
our
people.
opposite. So like I enjoy her. So our polarity, our Venuses are polar opposite, and so I so enjoy. But there's so many parts of my chart, like my Pluto on the ascendant, in Virgo, that totally enjoys her. Like she just gives it to me, right? I'm never worried. If you have a side note, sorry, if you have an Aquarius and Venus in your life, don't tell them they're cold. Don't tell them because they're not. But you know what? They're not going to lie to you. They're not going to tell you the dress is great if it's not. They're not. I mean, they are going to give it to you straight, and I so appreciate, and I think we all appreciate her authenticity. But I just had a laugh because the way she said it, that was Uranus happening. Yeah,
Yes,
it was unexpected.
yeah. I mean,
But I agree with you. I agree with you. I think that is a day to look at again the dreams. You know, a lot of times we're in sessions with people who are like, I'm bored. I feel stuck. Right. A lot of times you all make appointments when you feel stuck. And that eighth house can sometimes make us feel stuck because um we feel bound by fear. We feel bound by money. We feel bound by, I would love to do this, but I have too much debt. I would love to do this, but I'm bound to this person that I care for that's ill.
because it's
I would
shared
love to do this.
resources too.
Yeah. Yeah. So where have you let fear bind you to service, not just because you're good at the service and not because you're being
Mm.
helpful, but because it distracts you from the thing you were going to do anyway? It's never too late. I promise you, I'll be 53 in a few months. And if you're all still sticking around with me and you're not sick of me in 6 years, you will watch me announce, uh, my getting the rest of my psychology degree and all kinds of things because I'll be 60 at some point and I might as well be 60 with a master's degree.
Yeah,
It's never too late. And that looming death, that feeling like time is ticking. Sometimes we measure our time and our goals in what we should have done at what. There is no time, there is no finish line. There is ever evolving life. So I love that she said we're all going to die, because the thing is that it's not right when we look at death that way. That's, we can also look at it as just another transition.
mhm,
We feel it more when it's somebody we love, but for ourselves, it should be the inspiration to just do whatever you want to do. I keep warning my kids, I'm going to live to be like 102. And if I'm like feral now and you never know what I'm going to say and do, and I'm all kinds of like, I'm the pink haired mom. Like, wait till I'm 90. My God, what you guys are going to have to put up with.
yeah,
Because the closer, the older I get, I plan to YOLO my way out of this. We're on a spinning rock in a meat suit, people. Don't let the fear hold you back.
yeah.
And it's never too late.
And the eighth house being other people's money and also our deep, oh my God. I was just thinking, it's also that where deep sex is, where we have that deep, like, Kama Sutra, like sex. It's not just,
Sex magic, manifestation
yes,
through orgasm.
go have sex. Yes.
With someone or with yourself, as
Yeah.
long as it's more important actually, if you're going to use it for manifestation, that the completion of happiness happens,
Yeah.
because that is when we are in a state of, you are not, I promise you, you're not thinking about if you did the dishes in that moment. Instead of shouting somebody's name, shout like, "Oh my God, I'm making 10K a month."
Yeah.
Like, shout whatever it is, say out loud whatever it is
You're trying to
that you
manifest.
want.
Yeah.
Say it like it's already here. Oh my
Yeah.
God, I make 10K a month. Yes, yes, yes. Harry met Sally, the whole nine.
Oh yeah.
You
I
know,
want what she's
yeah.
having. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and what she's having is 10K a month, and the person of her dreams cannot just
Yeah.
keep off of her. Right. So, like, that is a great day. Take some time in that day. Wake up and start your day with a happy ending, and give yourself a happy beginning while that full moon is happening.
Wow. I think we've exhausted the eighth house. Um,
Jan says she's done.
lucky Aquarius rising. Pisces rising. Of course, you've got the sun in your first house and that moon in the seventh. You know, this is the house of other people. This is the house of our open enemies. This is the house of committed relationships. This is that Libra house where, you know, there's justice. Don't think about the lawsuit you're in, or how you would like to make your open enemies suffer. You know, that could be fun, but I wouldn't try to organize those feelings on this day. But think about who in your life you're grateful for, or if you have a significant other, or a committed person in your life, spend some time with them and just be. You don't have to do anything special, or you don't have to make it a project like cleaning the garage or cleaning the shed or whatever, but just enjoy the other people in your life. If you're not in a committed relationship, who cares? Just go enjoy other people for a while that day. And I think it's so funny. That's the house of open enemies too. I can't think of anything nice to say about that, so I'm not. Just can't. I mean,
Well, again,
you can think of ways to hurt your open enemies.
right. Sometimes your open enemies are the people that you're constantly doing things for, and then, you know, shit talking.
Yeah.
We touched very, very briefly on that Chiron, being the ham and the sandwich of Jupiter and Venus,
Mhm.
also on this day, the collective. And Chiron and Aries is very much about not feeling acceptable as who you are, just rejected. It's abandonment wounds. It's actually kind of the core wound of Chiron. It's that first wound, right? So it's, are we acceptable, which is also very Virgoian. At the same time, when you have Jupiter and Venus together, also that can be, you could like feel like $1,000,000 that day. There could be, but it also can express as jealousy.
Mhm.
So, if you have this in your seventh house, um, and because Virgo energy often doesn't think it's good enough, so it doesn't ever see itself as somebody that can be jealous. Like, why would anybody be jealous of me? I'm not intimidating. I am the behind the scenes, just trying to do everything right, so I can breathe and sleep at night. And so often here again, I would also advocate that this is where you look and see who your friends are, and start, you know, sit down and think about, like, who do I only hear when they need something from me? And I feel like,
Ooh,
yeah.
yes.
And but I also feel like they're probably doing a ton of shit talking behind my back. I feel like they're to my face, and then behind my back they're like, ugh, and they're, you know, they don't, people that don't have your back. I would rather you tell me to my face something that you dislike about me, um, and then behind closed doors, you are not participating even
Right.
in slander. Right. So look, I would look about who you can let go, the dead weight.
Yeah.
Um, because some people, you will not think of yourself as somebody that other people could be envious of. Um, and sometimes people are just envious of the way that you are discerning, as Connie Joe pointed out, in your relationships, in your other relationships.
Mhm.
They may not be able to have relationships, the way you could be that person that everybody loves.
It includes
Um,
members for sure.
yeah. And they're just jealous that like they feel like they have to work at getting people to, and so there's lots of ways that that could play out, but it's not a bad day to look at who's to your face. Because it's hidden. Yeah.
Can I show
Yeah.
you guys what the beautiful Heidi made for me? I'm going to frame it in this gorgeous. I just want to shout
Is that
out what an amazing artist she is. It,
is that the Maui Muse? Is
yes,
that
it's
Heidi? Because the last time she was in is Heidi, and I had showed everybody that this was my Christmas gift from Connie Joe. She had this made for me. Does Maui Muse? Do you have your own page where people can contact you for art? Because you live in Hawaii and Connie Joe lives in Florida, and I don't live in either of those states, but yet here I am holding this. So clearly, I don't know if you have a page, please share.
no glare, love bug.
Oh, there's oh yeah, here we go.
I'm not trying to embarrass you, Heidi, but you were so talented, and I don't just wanted to tell you I love you. I love everybody, but you were so talented. Anyway,
I'm gonna point out a placement right there. Only a Sag moon would say, I don't want to embarrass you, and then give you a compliment, because that would embarrass the Sag moon. As Connie Joe blushes all the time when I
yeah.
say use her own channel, right? So that's so funny. I love sometimes, and I think that it's so much fun when we're in this kind of environment to like, point out those moments where like only a Sag moon would say, I hate to embarrass you, and then say something lovely in a public forum.
Yeah. Okay. I think this is going to be a very interesting full moon. Everybody just love yourself, take care of yourself this day. I'm speaking to the choir because I need to do the same. Just
Yes.
don't overthink it.
Where are you? And I want everyone to think about, where are you quietly suffering because you feel that your role that you were given was service, or you will feel less lovable if you are not of service. Um, and the other thing is, where are you not doing your dream? Where are you not doing your mission, your healing work, whatever it is, because you are distracting yourself subconsciously by, I would get to that, but I don't have time because this person needs me here and that person needs me there. And it's that dichotomy, that exchange that has been built over time, where that we teach people how to treat us, and even if they love us in a million other ways, that they are somewhat draining us of the time and energy to do the things for ourselves. It's never too late. We are in a meat suit. We are souls in a meat suit on a spinning rock, in a multiverse. Where are you avoiding your own mission because you're afraid you will execute it wrong, and you are distracting yourself and didn't really give that a thought by making sure that you're there for others because they might fall?
Yeah. It's like when I look at all the people that have been in the chat all day, um, God, so many of you are so gifted. Oh my gosh,
Mm-hmm.
you've got to do where you have different people on here to share their gifts, because we've got a very gifted chat room for sure.
Yes. And I've got 3 names. I was going to do it every 6 weeks or every 8 weeks, but if my list keeps growing, then we'll do it once a month. And what Connie Joe was talking about, in case you don't know, is that I want to give other, without gaining anything from it, without, just because I feel like that's totally part of my mission, my spiritual mission, my literal job, because that is my first boss. Um, uh, so I would like to give a platform to those who read. And maybe you're like, but what if I do it wrong? What if I'm uncomfortable on camera? Don't want to commit to starting their own channel? Don't know if they're ready for practice? Um, Creating a safe space, because you all know that my out of bounds Cancer Mars and my Aries moon would never, and my Virgo rising ethics would never let anybody mistreat you, so that you guys can come on here and we'll be live just like this, the two of us, and people can ask questions, and you're not charging them, right? So they're going to ask questions. And the only thing they're allowed to do is say, thank you so much, or they can give you feedback confirming things that you said. There will be no being unkind to whoever is giving of their time and of their gifts and practicing practice. Um, and so it will be a safe place, and I will ensure it will be. And if you know, you know. And you guys can all just kind of like stretch your metaphysical muscles, because you can be born with gifts. There are probably masterful pianists that are born places socioeconomically or economically where they can't afford to get lessons or whatever, and we might never know their greatest skill level of being a pianist. But every great pianist, every great musician, every great athlete, they practice.
Yeah.
They work hard, even if they have a spirit given, a given gift. And so I want you guys to feel like you have some place to practice. Um, and it was Samantha in the chat. You can all thank her, who inspired me. We were having a session and I was like, you know what I should do? And then it's just been crazy. But now I really feel full license to just go ahead and execute all of my ideas.
You know what they've been doing, Susie? They have been, I've seen people posting their life path number. And hey, everybody, I want to get further into me and start doing numerology with some of you guys too. I'm so glad that you know your life path number. That makes me that just makes me very happy. Susie, I'm gonna have to go soon. Love you.
Okay, so we're just going to talk about the quick full moon things that are great to do on this full moon. Journal. Write down. You guys are so great at editing. What would you say if you didn't worry about saying it perfectly? What would you do if you didn't worry about executing it in a way that if it was less than perfect, that it would be less acceptable or that you would be less lovable? And and obviously it's a full moon. Get in a bathtub, put some Epsom salt in there. And also, I think we're like, we touched on it very little, but like it is a Virgo earthy mutable moon, right? So this is earth that moves. This is gardening. If you're not in a weather permitting gardening right now, because we are in March, then this is a day to do canning. This is a day to do herbs. Get some bay leaves, make some healing jars. I have them all over my desk. This was for Connie Jo when she was feeling a little under the weather. It's got her name on the bay leaf. Right? So like make some healing jars, or learn something about how rosemary or oregano oils are helpful. Literally, I mean, sit in the bath and I can't tell you how many times I'm in the bathtub and I've also got my phone or my computer and I'm exploring something on YouTube that I just want to learn for myself. That's not a pursuit of a necessity, a support necessity of business, or is not in support of my continued education for my career, just for me to learn for my personal self. Do something like that. And the inner child work for full moon in Virgo is to go back Please go watch my Leo inner child. It's not even called Leo full moon anymore. It's just called inner child walkthrough. It's the first thing on my page. Go through and watch that, but apply. You can use that walkthrough a million times again and again. It's a free in-depth healing that you can use, and use it to go back and tell your younger self that you're perfect. When you dropped all those things and everyone looked at you in class, you're perfect. When you were when your siblings were being perfect and you were being loud or messy, because here's a little secret about Virgo energy. They're known for being like, oh, the label maker and the thing. They struggle also. And there's also usually when we come in, there are some things that we want to be organized with or color coded with, and then other things that it's absolute mess. We know where everything is in that mess, but there's mess. And so you may have been messy, loud, chaotic as a child. Go back and assure your inner child that you're perfect. When your room is a mess, when you knock over the stuff, when your siblings are being perfectly behaved and bringing home the good, you're enough. You are enough. And I would invite, after you guys do that inner child walkthrough, I would invite you to set an alarm on your phone in the middle of the day when you know you see it that just says, you are enough, to remind yourself to really hit home that healing.
Yeah, something that I've learned about Virgo energy, Virgo moon energy, is that it's not so much having everything organized like your desk or your cabinets, but it's almost like you have to have your emotions organized. You have to have everything in that right compartment. It's do you know what I'm saying? It's like,
I do, because it brings me to like when something is going shit sideways in my life. What do I always do? I have to look at myself. My Virgo has to say,
yeah,
well, I have to see if I played a part in this, or I'll apologize to Connie Joe, being like, I should be more mindful of this. And she's like, I wasn't mad. I'm like, yeah, but I'm organizing how I was executing my feelings. And was I being ethical and fair to you, even if you're being a friend and you're listening to me vent? Yes, organizing your feelings is such a brilliant thing to say, Connie Joe. And that is where I'm so in my Virgo energy. I don't even think about it like that.
mhm.
I need my polar opposite sister here with my sister signs to point it out.
I'm gonna let you
I'm
take
going to,
me off. I've got to run, baby doll.
yeah. So we're going to let Connie Joe go and thank her. And I'm going to pull from this gorgeous new Oracle set that
I love
one of
it.
people, we're going to just pull an oracle card for everyone, but first we're just going to say thank you to
I
Connie
love all
Joe.
of you guys so much. I can't wait to talk to you soon. All right. Love you. Bye.
Bye. Okay, everybody, just an oracle card. Yes, and now that she's not here, we want her to start her own channel. She has so much. Every time I interact with her, she just says something more brilliant than the time before. And so we want her to share that with the world. Okay, so I'm gonna have to read from the book because this is a brand new set. These are just absolutely gorgeous. It is the White Light Oracle by Alana Fairchild. Yep. And this was sent as a congratulations on my new, I guess, ventures or my path split, whatever. However, this new part of my journey. Let's just say it that way. And I'm still doing all the same things. If you guys go to my website, which I posted before, Lee, if you just want to drop that and you go to Connie Joe's website, go on the contact thing, tell her you can't wait for her to start her own channel. And she was doing an astrological newsletter that she would like to get back to. So ask her to be on her mailing list for that. But you can go on either and just go right down to the contact. But if you want to book a session, it's the same place. Nothing's changed. And also, if you are booking sessions, just I have opt-in. You can opt in to get text messages now, which I personally prefer. All right. Okay. Let's see. Sherry, are am I still, Connie Joe is still with soul navigation. I am not. That journey has I'm grateful for it, and we're not continuing forward. So I feel the need to there are just things that I want to do and ways that I want to do that. And there is some other stuff, but it was just time. It was time. So, and it allows me to do more community stuff. So, yeah. But and transitions are hard and they're challenging, and it's been hard and it's been challenging. And I'm thankful for you guys have all been like the kryptonite to my stress level, all of the messages, everything. If you are not on or you don't get email, that's probably what it is, Sherry. I didn't put anything up on my community page because I was just trying to be as graceful as possible. But absolutely, still book Connie Joe. As I have said, all the readers at Soul Navigation are phenomenal. And I don't think it's an and or an if. I think we can have more than one reader. I mentioned Lana in the beginning. I go to her sometimes. I go to Connie Joe. I have other metaphysical friends. Everybody should just get guidance where they're called. It's not a competition. Okay. All right. We have, I have no idea what any of these are. This card is stunning. This was actually a gift from one of what I will call my frequent flyers that I see monthly. And I was just so shocked and it made me cry. But then on top of it, these cards are just, they're stunning. The artwork. It's soft and monochromatic, but yet you feel the illustrations. Okay. So this is my first card reading of this deck. I've been a little busy. All right. And I am excited to do a whole bunch of stuff with the community now. And let me know what you want to see. And if I'm trying to think. I think if you, for people who don't do email or have a hard time, it's easy. Just get a new email, because then this way you'll be updated with anything that I'm doing that's community. We're getting closer. I can now schedule out times to be on my channel like every week. So starting this week, you'll always see me Sundays. You'll always see me Mondays. I want to say you'll always see me Wednesdays and Thursdays live, and then I may record a few and put one or so. I'm going to be live steadily weekly now, which I'm super excited about. But as that grows, as I have steadiness, I'm sure the channel, we're less than 300 away from being that 1,000. And when I tell you I'm having that Zoom party, like a block party, when I get to 1,000, I mean it. So if you want to be invited to that, also shoot me an email. So we have, for our Virgo full moon, how perfect is this? I love a good oracle card. I say it all the time. I mean, this is not a Virgo full moon. This is not like, hey, these are only oracle cards for exactly what we were just talking about. And yet, here we are. I think we're glowing here. Okay. Aura of Gamma. It is time to let go what has been. You are swiftly outgrowing your past. Explore and commit to a spiritual practice that supports your personal transformation so that you can cross the threshold before you now. Embrace your freedom to be creative in your approach rather than doggedly committing yourself to your previous ideas or plans. You have the spiritual intelligence necessary to evolve. Continue your healing journey and trust with a positive outcome is imminent. This card is so perfect for this because full moons ask us to let go. And again, Connie Joe really wanted to like dig in and make sure, because there was so much to explore. And we knew we were going to be doing this for like 2 hours, right? But March is full of closures. And I know we're excited about what does Saturn and Pisces mean for us? And what does Pluto moving into Aquarius mean for us? And what does it mean when Mars finally leaves Gemini and goes into, I can take this off now, and goes into Cancer. And that's all good to know. And that will all be coming up. And then Jupiter is going to move into Taurus. But the other thing that we have to be really cognizant of is sometimes long transits kind of go out with a little kick and a scream, like a protest. So while every time we have a full moon, we have endings so that we can have beginnings. We're all used to that. Full moon, you're all on this channel, right? You're watching other astrologers and other metaphysical practitioners talk about what full moons mean. And that's all great. But this full moon is a little different because we're in a month of closures, and some of those closures are going to resist a little on their way out. We love new beginnings, but we can't pretend that the closures don't come with the new beginnings. And so there's a little bit of trust in all of this. And I can speak very personally and recently to this. I would love to say that I didn't experience like physical effects of all of this change, but of course I did, because I'm human. It doesn't matter how much knowledge my Gemini brain has gathered and how much my Virgo wants to perfect it. It's still physically going to manifest. Mars is squaring stuff. It's palpable for all of us. Be gentle to yourself in the month of March. And I keep saying this, and I had an Instagram post. If you're not following me on Instagram, it's just all like encouragement and reminders pretty much. It's really, I only post like advertisements for anything just to like say when I'm going to be live, or if my videos are up for a certain elements, my water signs are up or whatever. The rest of it is all really encouragement. And reminders and prompts to encourage and support the healing and support the growth for everyone. And I just said, like, as Connie Joe was saying, for one of the rising signs, maybe it's not the time to start a cleanse. Maybe it's not the time. We're going to have to prioritize how you would prioritize your to-do list. Right? You have a day off, and it's never really a day off. It's just the day you have to do other stuff that's not work. And we have to prioritize what we have to get done. And we try not to get distracted so that we can get all the stuff done, because we don't want it to carry it over to the next time. This month, we want to prioritize what we're trying to heal. And I think we are all in this community passionate phoenixes. We love it. We love the change. We love being able to look back and go, wow, like, I'm so happy to have closed that door, or like, I'm really proud of myself because I would have handled that completely different a year ago, 5 years ago, whatever the case may be. But this month, I'm going to implore you all to be gentle with yourself. You can still write down the boundaries, and if it's too exhausting to enforce them all and practice them all this month, that's okay. That's okay. Maybe it's not the time. There's going to be closing of cycles of maybe not full relationships or those people, but how you dance within those exchanges, how you exchange with people, the dichotomy of that relationship, how you have set it up. And so while you're doing that, you can make the decision, but don't expect it to all be done, right? Virgo, don't expect it to all be done, tied up, and you never going back that way. And you're never going to fall in those boundaries. For all the things that I said, I am not doing that. Or I'm like, I got to stop, or I got to let go of this, or I still sometimes redrew the line in the sand. Because it wasn't the time. It was not the time to enforce all my boundaries. There are going to be more changes for all of us in March. And there are going to be things around us that are going to change, whether we want them to or not. There are going to be things that are going to change. And so be gentle with yourself in March. If you're Virgo, be gentle with yourself all the time. But March is not the month to try to do all of it. There will be struggle and resistance from the things. I think we see that. I'm on my channel and I have no ties to anyone else. So this is how it is on this channel. I am a staunch humanitarian and advocate for equal rights. If we think what we just saw in Tennessee, drag queens, we use boobs to sell cheese doodles, anything in this country, but drag queens are dangerous. It's crazy. But what's worse is in Mississippi, they just reinstated some Jim Crow laws. It's just insanity to me. We are seeing the last vestiges. What we are seeing is patriarchy, control, that Capricorn Pluto, that Saturn in a Saturn ruled sign. We're seeing that flailing. Imagine somebody trying not to drown. We are seeing whatever last ditch effort. And they are extreme. They are extreme. This is not, we have the UN, we have multiple countries looking into our practices, taking, capital punishment is now on the table for making choices about your own body in this country in 2023. We are, when Pluto goes into Aquarius, Pluto is power, and the 11th house is the house of the collective, of the people. It is power to the people. You will see the resistance. It is very Star Wars. You will see, and it will not be one thing. It will be challenging. But as those big collective energies are all happening all around us, please remember to be gentle with yourself. This is not the time to try to climb every mountain and hit every goal with perfection. We're going to take 2 steps back in our own personal lives. Everyone's going to feel that energy, and just have faith. I think that we will see change over the next 20 years that will honor every single person, and honor loving our fellow humans just as they are. I want you to love yourself just as you are, and I expect that I'm saying that to everyone. And we will get to a place where we allow everyone to be loved just as they are, and not have harm done to them. But you're going to see, you're going to see some, and we are, it's showing up quite literally. And for anyone who just feels like, I should not be talking about political things, I would like to present that I am talking about humanitarian subjects. I am talking about, as somebody who claims to be an advocate, and wants to be trauma informed and safe and ethical, then I believe it is my job to use whatever voice I have. But when you're seeing that, and it's scary, some of these just this week, what we've seen, just know that those are the last vestiges of struggle. When I say struggle and resistance, you're going to see a little bit of it in your personal life, and you're going to see a lot of it out in the collective. And just know that, you know, if the love is loud enough, it's going to take some time, but love wins. I love you. Know you love you. If you have any questions, you can email me. And it's a privilege that you all let me in this space. I'm going to go before I start crying. It killed me not to say goodbye that last Friday. And I will be resuming Friday nights on this channel because I love that community, that we all kind of built together. And I didn't want to just leave you all behind. So I'll be starting Friday nights again this week. And it's just Friday nights because I asked everyone and it's the best time for everybody. That's the only reason. It's where the community is used to showing up, but also it's just, even YouTube agrees. So I kind of picked that time randomly, when I started doing it, a year and a half ago. But it was the good time to go. So we'll be back Friday nights. I love you all so much, and I'm excited for what we can all do now. I love you. Know you love you.